And we're back on the couch, the other couch, for Psalm 62 and Romans 5, which, although completely different books, are going to be tied together because Yahweh is that perfect. Let's pray. Oh, Father Yahweh, let your words speak through me. Let me speak your words. Let me bless the viewers. Bless the viewers through me. Bless Alexa. Bless all those coming to you, new and old. In Yeshua name, amen. Psalm 62. But first, stone soup ingredients. Get your famine preparedness needs. If you haven't started preparing for the grocery store shelves being empty, you need to. This is your warning. This is me telling you. Buy some food so that you have food put back. Get yourself some water. Get lots and lots of water because water is going to be tainted and very difficult to come by, and it is very important. You can go 3 seconds without hope, 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. Forgot 3 hours without heat. 3 seconds without hope, 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without heat, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So, hope we're reading. Air. Get yourself a gas mask, but that shit ain't gonna last long. So if your air is fucked up, if there's mustard gas and nuclear debris, we're fucked. Heat. Get yourself some propane. Get yourself some ways to heat yourself. Water. Definitely way more important than food. But above all else, before you have anything else, before you have a stockpile of rubber bands or, make sure fire kit goes with heat, which we also sell pre-made little 6x4 containers here. I've actually got one to show you right here. Fire kit. This is the prototype that we threw in the dirt. You can see all the dirt on it to make sure that it would stay proper, and we never opened it. You've got a refillable lighter because, come on, you get 1,000 flicks out of a Bic, but that's not enough. So refillable lighter, butane, petroleum jelly with Q-tips to start the fire, fire starter, 3 of them, and stormproof matches, 25 of them, so that you can start a fire in any weather any storm, only at stonesoupingredients.com, and conveniently in a waterproof kit. So although their stormproof matches and petroleum jelly is still flammable, this is a click lighter, so you don't have to worry about it running out of flint. It'll keep on clicking as long as there's butane in it, and you can use your knife to release the excess air, and you've got plenty of butane for plenty of fires. And it's also a butane, so that it too is wind and waterproof. Because this, see, look. Psalm 62. You can also tithe. RWTC tithe. My being finds rest in Elohim alone. For him is my deliverance. He alone is my rock and my deliverance, my strong tower. I am not greatly shaken. How long would you shout at a man? Murder, like a leaning wall, a tottering fence. They plotted to topple him from his high position. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but in their heart they curse. Selah. My being find rest in Elohim alone, because my expectation is from him. He alone is my rock and my deliverance, my strong tower. I am not shaken. My deliverance and my esteem depend on Elohim. The rock of my strength, my refuge is in Elohim. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. Elohim is a refuge for us. Selah. Sons of Adam are but a breath. Sons of men are a lie. If weighed in the scales, they are altogether lighter than breath. Do not trust in oppression, and do not become vain in robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart on them. Elohim has spoken once, twice I have heard this, that strength belongs to Elohim, and loving commitment is yours, O Yahweh, for you reward each one according to his work. What? According to his work? We've read that before, where Yeshua quotes it in Matthew 20. Matthew 16. For the Son of Man is going to come in the esteem of his Father and his messengers, and then he shall reward each according to his work, which is also Proverbs 24:12. However, it is also Revelation 22:12, and said many times, it said in Romans 2:6, 2 Corinthians 5:10, Ephesians 2:10, Titus 2:7 and 2:14, and James 2:14 to 24. John 5:29. Said often, and we've beat it, which is interesting because Romans 3, which was, or was it 4? Romans 4 says, for if Abraham was declared right by works, he has grounds for boasting, but not before Elohim. For what does the scripture say? Abraham believed Elohim, and it was reckoned to him for righteousness. And to him who is working, the reward is not reckoned as a favor, but as a debt. And to him who is not working, who believes on him who is declaring right the wicked, his belief is reckoned for righteousness. Even as Dawid also says of the blessedness of man to whom Elohim reckons righteousness without works, blessed are those whose lawlessnesses are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man to whom Yahweh shall by no means reckon sin, which is in the Psalms also. Is this blessing then upon the circumcised only? Okay. Or also upon the uncircumcised? For we affirm belief was reckoned unto Abraham for righteousness. Quoting itself again. And the difference between these works and those works is that the works that you're doing by nature are your reward according to your work. The work that you're doing for favor is no longer favor, it is a debt. So if you're trying to say like, I'm going to go be perfect so that I get this reward. I'm going to, I don't know, go spend some time in a soup kitchen so that I can have more money come to me so that I get a raise at work. Like, that's not going to be what it is. But if you're like, the works required to get the raise at work are diligently working hard at work and having the boldness and the courage to go ask your boss for a raise at work because you have faith in Elohim that the work that you've done has made you worthy of the increased wage, salary. Different kinds of works, different heart condition behind the work. For if Abraham was declared right by works, he has ground for boasting, but not before Elohim. Elohim won't declare him right by works. Elohim will declare him right by belief. Well, there is still works in the belief, as James explains to us. The works in the belief was that he left the land when Yahweh told him to. That was the work within the belief. We way past it. James 2:13. For judgment is without compassion to the one who has shown no compassion, and compassion boasts over judgment. My brothers, what use is it for... Then that's a perfect example, because judgment is without compassion to the one who has shown no compassion, and compassion boasts over judgment. Because it's not the ability to judge, it's the ability to have compassion, knowing that compassion has been had on you at one point. And so you judge with the same stick that you judge. You will be judged with the same stick that you judge with in Matthew 7. And this explains that having the compassion is the work as opposed to the judgment being the work. It's not entirely about judging righteously. It's about judging with compassion. What is the circumstance and what is the heart condition? My brothers, what use is it for anyone to say he has belief, but he does not have works? This belief is unable to save him. And if a brother or sister is naked and in need of daily food, but you say to them, go in peace, be warmed and be filled, but you do not give them the bodily needs, what use is it? So also belief, if it does not have the work, is in itself dead. But someone might say, you have belief and I have works. Show me your belief without your works, and I shall show you my belief by my works. You believe that Elohim is one, you do well. The demons also believe and shudder. But do you wish to know, O foolish man, that the belief without works is dead? Okay, so you need to have the belief, but then you need to act on that belief. You can't just say, well, I believe. You have to decide to take course of action through that belief. That work through belief, based on the heart condition of I love Elohim, I know that Elohim will be righteous and good unto me. I have the expectation of favor within Elohim, of Elohim, guaranteed by Elohim, on his word, which does not return to him void. Just somewhere in... from one of the prophets. I want to say Micah. We're going to go to Jeremiah 29. And these are the words of the letter which Yirmiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem to the rest of the elders of the exile, and to the priests, and to the prophets, and to all people whom Nebuchadnezzar had exiled from Jerusalem to Babel. After Jeconiah the sovereign and the sovereigness mother, and the eunuchs and the heads of Yehuda and Jerusalem, and the craftsmen and the smiths had gone into exile from Jerusalem by the hand of Elisah, son of Shaphan, and Gemariah, the son of Hilkiah, whom Sidkiah, sovereign of Yehuda, sent to Babel to Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, Elohim of Israel, to all the exiles whom I exiled from Jerusalem to Babel. Build houses and dwell in them, plant gardens and eat their fruit. Take wives and bring forth sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands. And let them bear sons and daughters, and be increased there and not diminished. And seek the peace of the city where I have exiled you, and pray to Yahuwah for it, for in its peace you have peace. Okay. Seek the peace of the city where I have exiled you, and pray to Yahuwah for it, for in its peace you have peace. That is the works through the belief. The belief is that Elohim will deliver you out of the exile, and so you're giving your best. Again, having the compassion, not the judgment, but having the compassion to pray for the city which you've been exiled to as a punishment. So you pray for the buildup of that which is possibly tearing you down. Okay. Those are the works. Those are the works. Works through belief. Not works through debt. Works through like literally works of Torah, but forced works, right? Even take the naked man, and like if you just have the belief and you say go, you'll be healed. Well, here's the opportunity for him to be healed or clothed or fed, and the expectation is of you to fulfill that need, and then you will be blessed in the belief that you can fill that need and you will receive sevenfold, tenfold, 100-fold. I think Moses received 100-fold. Belief and works are highly important. What do you do? What do you do? You do through your belief. My being finds rest in Elohim alone. Ironically, we started with the rest in Hebrews 3 and 4 when we did the Psalms 61 reading. And so you should have followed this chronologically, and so you should have just watched Psalm 60 and 61. And so if you did not, go do it. The rest in Elohim alone is through obedience. You believe, you obey. They're reckoned as righteous works. You are blessed. From him is my deliverance. Yeah, deliverance is all over the Psalms. Watch any Psalm video, and you can hear about deliverance, especially Psalm 18. He is my rock. He alone is my rock and my deliverance, my strong tower. Again, we've got the deliverance, the rock, Isaiah 26:4, Deuteronomy 32:4, all over this. Where did we see it? Yeshua quotes Isaiah and says, in Matthew 21, they said to him, evil ones, he shall bring them to evil destruction. They said to him, evil ones, he shall bring them to evil destructions and lease the vineyard to other farmers who shall give to him the fruits in their seasons. These are the farmers who kill the servants and then kill the son because they've been chosen to steward the land, and they decide to take advantage of that blessing and then go kill the servants and kill the son. Yeshua said to them, did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This was from Yahuwah, and it is marvelous in our eyes. That's Psalm 118, 22 to 23, which we'll look at, but we're not going to bang through. Not going to read all the way through. Because of this, I say to you, the reign of Elohim shall be taken from you and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits of it. And he who falls on this stone shall be broken, but on whomever it falls he shall be pulverized. And the chief priests and Pharisees, having heard his parables, knew that he was speaking of them. And seeking to lay hands on him, they feared the crowd, seeing they held him to be a prophet. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Yep. The rock. We're going to look at that Psalm 118. Mm-hmm. 22 and 23. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This was from Yahweh. It is marvelous in our eyes. Wow, Psalm 117 is like the shortest psalm ever. I'm still probably going to have an hour lecture on it. And then I'll go through, I'm just going to read 119 just one time and then close the book on it. The other thing I want to look at, this strong tower has been brought up in a couple different psalms. Psalm 59. Now in 62. I thought somewhere else. I thought maybe 57, but he is my strong tower. Now, we go to Genesis chapter 11. This is a defining moment for Yah. He hates this. This is the first time where we see the works of man. I'm not talking about like the Garden of Eden, like it's just Adam and Eve, and that, you know, this is the beginning of time. I'm talking about like Yahweh looks upon a people, sees what they're doing, gets wroth with them, and is like, absolutely not. And he steps in and just decides how this is going to go. He doesn't check with anybody. There's no ark. There's no save somebody. He puts a kibosh to this very swiftly, very smoothly, and he doesn't have to wipe everybody out to do it. And all the earth had one language and one speech. And it came to be, as they set out from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth." Then Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahweh said, "Look, they are one people, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. Come, let us go there and confuse their language so that they do not understand one another's speech." And Yahweh scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. That is why its name was called Babel, because there Yahweh confused the language of all the earth, and from there Yahweh scattered them over the face of all the earth. And then we get into the genealogy of Shem. Then it just starts being genealogy unto Abraham. Shem goes to Abraham. We got more genealogy in Genesis 10. Genesis 9, Elohim blesses Noah. Genesis 8, Noah's coming out of the ark. So Noah comes out of the ark. He gets blessed. We got genealogy of the sons of Noah. We've got Japheth in verse 2. And then we start getting the sons. Okay. Genesis 10:2, the sons of Japheth. Genesis 10:5, from these the coastland peoples of the nations were scattered into their lands, everyone according to his language, according to their clans, into their nations. Okay, and then verse 6, the sons of Ham. Then we get the genealogies of Ham, going on through to the Canaanites. Verse 20 ends the sons of Ham. And then we got Shem, who's got some genealogies. So, according to their clans, according to their languages, in their lands, and their nations. Okay. These were the clans of the sons of Noah, according to their generations and their nations, and from these nations were divided on the earth after the flood. And from these the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. Now we've got permanent countries, permanent lands and borders developing after the flood. Because whatever was there before ain't there no more. And then we come into Genesis 11. And all the earth had one language and one speak, and it came to be as they set out from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Okay, so this amount of time, there's a lap in time of one language, because it says as these go on that there are different languages. Okay? And so there comes to be one language. Okay. So there comes to be one language, and they are all able to communicate. We talked a lot in the beginning of Acts about being of one mind, of one accord. That word one mind, I think it's in 2, 3, 4, not 5, and then again in 6, and we don't see it again until like Acts 14 or 16. And then we see the Yehudim coming of one mind. And so this one-mindedness is strong, but it's not always a spirit of Elohim. Herd mentality, if you will. And it's very effective. But the issue here with this Tower of Babel is that they build a tower to reach the heavens. They want to be as high as they possibly can to basically make gods of themselves. And come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. They said, they figure out how to make these buildings. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. They're trying to control it. And I find it interesting, too, that, obviously we know from Ezekiel 12, and then Yeshua says in Matthew, I want to say that's 16 as well. 15:24. I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Which is also Matthew 10:5 and 6. Yeshua sent these 12 out, having commanded them, saying, do not go into the way of the nations, and do not enter a city of the Shomeronim, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And so the issue here is that the nations in the Shomeronim will eat them alive, and they're just going to get in the way of the nations, and the nations are going to be like, nah, F you, we can take you. Because they're all demon-possessed. But Yeshua is strong enough to go to the nations and the Shomeronim, and after his death and resurrection, now the apostles can go to the nations, including Peter in Acts 10 and Shaul in, the basically the later ends of the gospel, or of Acts, even the assembly at Corinth, Ephesus, all these. Because, Israel's not big at this time, They're not even going to the Shomeron, which are, I don't know exactly where they dwell. I'm not super good at geography, but they're basically, at one point, the woman at the well says, are you greater than our father who built the well? So the Shomeron are of Jacob as well, who's Jacob's well. So they are Israel. They're just not that kind of Israel. And so going back to the strong tower in Psalm 62, he alone is my rock and my deliverance and my strong tower. There's obviously we see skyscrapers today. People have an infatuation with grandiose nature. Building something way up, way big, so that they can claim their stake. It's like, like having the nicest house on the block. And so they want this tower, this structure that says, we built this and we've became gods ourselves. And even it's just a pissing match with people who want to build the highest skyscraper, like the Burj Khalifa, when they were building that, which I don't even think it ever got finished. I think it just got abandoned because Dubai ran out of money. Same thing with the Earth Islands, or whatever the fuck they called them. They were basically just building islands in the middle of the sea, and with billions of dollars worth of sand being moved. It's just it's fucking insane. So when they were building that, the story goes that the architect built the building, designed a building, and then brought it to the sheik and said to him, can I build this? Is this good enough? And he said, how tall is it? And the guy said, whatever, 1,000 feet. And the guy says, no, taller. And so he does it again, and the same thing happens. And then he brings the Burj Khalifa to the sheik, and he brings a chart with buildings like the Eiffel Tower and the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building and whatever other big buildings in the world. And then he has the picture of the Burj Khalifa, and he says, this is how much taller it will be. And he says, build it, they will come. Because it's just about that emphasis upon creation by man. We need not worship the creation, but the Creator. And so in their doing this, they're disrespecting Yah, obviously, but then Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahuwah said, look, they are one people and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. They're one people, they have one language. In Acts, we talked about three Acts 2:44, and all those who believed were together and had all in common, and sold their possessions and property and divided them among all as anyone might have need. And day by day, continuing with one mind in the set apart place and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising Elohim and having favor with all the people. And the master added to the assembly those who were being saved day by day. And Acts 1:14. All these were continuing with one mind in prayer and supplication with the woman and Miriam, the mother of Yeshua, and with his brothers. Acts 4:24, and having heard that, they lifted up their voice to Elohim with one mind and said, Yahuwah, you are Elohim, who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, who by the mouth of your servant David have said, why did the nations rage and the people plot in vain? The sovereigns of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against Yahuwah and against his Messiah. So definitely here too. I thought it was an Acts 5. Maybe it's 3. Regardless, there's 3 witnesses. And so the point being that the first sin that's reckoned in Genesis after the flood, so all the sin is wiped away physically, right? The only ones that are left are Noah, his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives. And now we get genealogy, there's no problem. And then the next sin is they are one people and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. So the problem here is that they should be worshiping Elohim. They're utilizing the gift that he's given them as clean people in order to build this grand structure. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. Basically saying, like, they're going to do whatever they want continually because we allowed this one thing to happen. Come, let us go there and confuse their language so that they do not understand one another's speech. And Yahweh scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. They just stopped. So this tower never gets finished. It never gets built because Yah puts a kibosh on it. Because it's a bullshit tower. Okay. I just wanted to make that point. I'd seen the strong tower, and so Yahweh is our tower. Metaphorically, literally, that he is the glory when we come together of one mind and one language as one people, and we glorify him, we'll be blessed. That is what we need to do with our blessings, because the blessing is the one mind. And so I find it curious too that that's what we're brought back to in Acts, is the one-mindedness, is the unity. Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh is one. Deuteronomy 6:4. And so with that oneness, that perfectness in Elohim, which I think is really the point, is that these people, now I'm seeing it, these people had different languages in Genesis 10, and then Yahuwah gives them slowly over through time into having one language, being one, becoming one, and they start doing these grand works for themselves instead of just enjoying the fruit of their oneness. Deuteronomy 6:4, Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Okay, so, get that right too. That, that is the first sin after Yahweh cleanses all the sin, is that they have their oneness and they start doing their works with it instead of allowing the true pleasure of Elohim, the oneness, to occur. Even though they're working in unity for that one thing. And I don't know that we could really get back to this point perfectly, but we do see works through worship reckoned unto the earliest church, the early church, as it said, my strong tower. Yeah, Yahweh is my strong tower because he is what glorifies my works. He is why I do my works. In Yeshua name. I am not greatly shaken. Also a tower metaphor. How long would you shout at a man, murder, like a leaning wall and a tottering fence? A contrast. A leaning wall and a towering fence to the not greatly shaken strong tower. Murder, like a leaning wall and a toppling fence. What a way to say that. How long would you shout at a man? Murder, like a leaning wall and a toppling fence, tottering fence. Basically, there's no structure on this. He who hates his brother without cause has committed murder in his heart. In Matthew 5. 21, you heard that it was said of those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you, whoever is wroth with his brother without a cause shall be liable to judgment. And whoever says to his brother, Raca, shall be liable to the Sanhedrin. But whoever says, you fool, shall be liable to the fire of Gehenna. If then you bring your gift to the slaughter place, and remember there that your brother holds whatever against you, leave your gift there before the slaughter place and go. First make peace with your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Be well-minded with your opponent promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge, and the judge to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. How beautiful that this comes back like this. How long would you shout at a man murder? How long would you instruct a man to murder? By separating himself from his brothers, by separating himself from the oneness that he already experiences as the building of the Tower of Babel, because they are trying to reach the heavens, and somebody's going to be on the top floor and somebody's going to be on the bottom floor. But there's more grief and struggle and strife among the fear of the repercussions of them not having a name, and make a name for ourselves lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. So basically they're concerned that if they don't do these works, they're not going to have a name, and they're going to be scattered over all the earth because they're competing against one another. They are murdering with their heart, in the sense that they're wroth with their brother without a cause, because their only cause is pride and competition, whereby they're ostracizing their brother, creating a situation where he's inferior to your superiority because you've accomplished this tower. But the truth is that our oneness is the glorification and the strong tower of Yahweh, who is Elohim. Praise Yahweh. Okay. They plotted to topple him from his high position. Yep, they delight in lies. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to it. They're trying to decide their value and their blessings, as opposed to allowing Elohim to do it. They bless with their mouth, but in their heart they curse. Yeah. In their heart they curse. They're doing this. Their heart condition is not with the intention of serving Elohim. It's not like they're going to build this tower and then so that we make a name for Yahweh, like Solomon does. He's building the house of Yahweh, builds this grand palace for the house as the house of Yahweh. And they're doing it for their own name. They bless with their mouth. What they say, their belief, their verbal belief, they're near with their lips and far with their heart. They come near to me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Matthew 15. Hypocrites, Yeshayahu rightly prophesied about you, saying, this people draw near to me with their mouth and respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching the commands of men. Exactly, the commands of men, the works of men, the teachings of men. That this is how, if Yah let them make this name, it would have been an example that this is the way that you find glory, but the glory is truly through Elohim and the glorification of him, whereby you're exacting your acts for the servitude of others. Now, grandiose acts, right? Like, better to feed 1 million homeless people than to feed one homeless person. But if all you have to steward right now is the ability to feed one homeless person, there damn sure better be a fed-ass homeless person around you. My being find rest in Elohim, and by feeding that one, you'll be trusted to feed two, and two will turn to 4, which will turn to 8, which will turn to 16, and you'll be feeding 1,000 people a month at one point. But everything starts with a step. Go. My being find rest in Elohim alone, because my expectation is from Him. Exactly. We lean on the expectation of Him. We lean on the beauty that is His promise. He alone is my rock and my deliverance, my strong tower. I am not shaken. Don't be shaken. I was in this place called Kennedy Towers recently, and it's an 18-story building on a hill, and it's the tallest building in Troy. And there's definitely, like, you're getting up there, and I asked, what it's like living on the 19th floor, which it was 18, I don't know, it's an 18-story building with 19 floors, riddle me that, but who knows how the fuck they'd have created that tower then. That would have been some bunk-ass tower. We probably would have had, go to floor 32, and then there's, 39 floors and no floor 26. It's like, shit, man, what are you doing? So, anyway, he goes, it doesn't shake much up there, but you can see when the wind's blowing that the water in the toilet bowl is going round and round. And this is an older gentleman who lived there for 20 years, and I thought it was a beautiful explanation of the simplicity of the building, that it structurally defends against wind, but there's no recompense for physical laws that El created, that Yahweh put into place. You can't stop gravity. You can't stop water from filling a bottle. There's a lot of things that you can't start or stop, because Yah is that He is, and He's going to do what He does. And you are going to enjoy it. Do righteousness and be blessed. My deliverance and my esteem depend on Elohim. That's the heart condition that is right. My deliverance and my esteem depend on Elohim. Not let us build this tower so that we may make a name for ourselves among the nations, but that my deliverance and my esteem depend on Elohim. That because I'm doing these righteous works and righteous action, righteous desires of my heart, I'm going to be delivered. I have this expectation of Elohim that He will be my deliverance, and my esteem depend on Him. Because I glorified Him, He's going to glorify me. That's the relationship. That's where the relationship works, and that's how all relationships go. Because if you are glorifying your wife, you're making her feel feminine, you're bringing her flowers, you're taking the trash out when the trash needs to be taken out, you're not leaving your shoes by the door, you're not leaving the toilet seat down, then she is going to glorify you. At least if she's a good woman, a woman of Yah, she's going to glorify you by building you up and being, more submissive to you and caring about her appearance and steward the children properly and love you with all her heart and give to you a wholehearted approach to devotion of spiritual resource. Okay. The rock of my strength, my refuge is in Elohim. Refuge is all over this. The rock we talked about, Isaiah 26:4, Deuteronomy 32:4, and Matthew 21. Yeah, Matthew 21. 3 witnesses there. My Redeemer. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before us. Elohim is a refuge for us. It's even literally twice in that psalm. So he's creating a second witness for himself. Now, here's where we get into some hairy details. Sons of Adam are but a breath. Sons of men are a lie. If weighed in the scales, they are altogether lighter than breath. The breath is the spirit, right? Like in Genesis 3:7, the spirit is breathed into Adam. In John 20, the spirit, John 20:22, Yeshua breathes the spirit onto the remaining apostles. And there's more weight in the spirit. The spirit is heavier. The spirit is more spirit is definitely the leader in the relationship. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. Elohim is a refuge for us. 3 times in one psalm. Gonna remember that one. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. Elohim is a refuge for us. Elohim is a refuge for us, Selah. Sons of Adam are but a breath. Sons of men are a lie. If weighed in the scales, they are altogether lighter than breath. They're going to be... Where was it? They are altogether lighter than breath. Do not trust in oppression, and do not become vain in robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart on them. And do not become vain in robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart on them. If riches increase, as we give you, like they were given the knowledge how to make bricks with fire and order them in this grand structure. They got the financing, they got the approval from the higher ups. This all they did, and they are never going to. You can't set your heart on them, because then you become to love money, and you'll do things for money that you wouldn't do outside of the face of Elohim. Elohim has spoken once, twice I have heard this: strength belongs to Elohim, and loving commitment is yours, O Yahweh. For you reward each according to his works. Certainly. For you reach each one according to his works.